Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of my Epic Portions mod showcase. Now, in this update, as you can see, I have added a structure over there and one more that I will spawn in towards the end, and a number of weapons, armors, and other features to make it more enjoyable. Now, first up, we have some armors. So we have the King's Crown, which actually I'm not going to show right now. I'm going to get more into that in a moment. But we've got the Fortified Iron set, which is comparable to Diamond. And actually, here, one moment. It looks similar to Iron Gear, but with a noticeable outline and gold trim. We have the Ruby set, which is superior to Diamond by a lot, superior to Netherite as well by a large amount, and you can see that this is what it looks like. And now next up, we have some new weapons. First off is the Glass Sword. You can see that it does, as it says, 28 damage, but you will notice that the durability is also quite low. After just a couple of kills here, the sword is already at around half durability, so it isn't the greatest sword and shouldn't ever be your first choice. Next up, we have the Ruby Sword, which goes with the Ruby set. And it is a very simple design, but overall, not too bad. And it still needs to get a custom swing animation, which you'll be able to see in the next two weapons. You can see that now, instead of being held out front like this, it's held, these two, the Royal Guardian and Big Bertha swords, are held back a little further, so that they don't obstruct your view as much. And when you swing them, you'll notice that instead of swinging out like this, they will swing up, they will swing down in more of a cleaving motion. And if I were to right click with this weapon, and actually I will grab these cow spawn eggs back out, you'll see that does an area of effect attack, dealing 1000 damage on the dot. And also these two swords both have had their damage reduced. Big Bertha from 1000 to 755, and the Royal Guardian sword from 755 to 500. The attack having the AoE attack has a 10-second cooldown and does 1000 damage. And the Royal Guardian sword has a similar, although weaker, attack, where, and the animation is still a work in progress. I just wanted to get the video out today rather than later. The attack has a 5-second cooldown and does 600 damage. Put this in this chest real quick. The Tree Capitator and Corrupted Obsidian Sword are mostly the same, though the Tree Capitator now does 65 instead of 85 damage, and the Corrupted Obsidian Sword does 125, so they will be a little bit weaker. Next up, if I just move that out of the way, we have our crafting recipes, which aren't that many, but we have, first off, the Glass Sword, which is crafted with 2 glass and a stick. So a fairly cheap recipe. Next up, we have the Ruby Sword, which is crafted with 2 rubies and a stick. Next up, we have all the ruby equipment, which is crafted like their vanilla counterparts. And the Ruby Block, which is crafted also like its vanilla counterpart and can be uncrafted back into rubies. And then finally, we have the mobs. Now, I'm going to go into creative for this, but take all of these. First up, the Golden Apple Cow, which has already been shown. But the notable feature is if I can find one. There we go. There is one there. Killing the children no longer gives you any form of drops, whereas killing an adult golden apple cow will. Just gonna go around and pick up a couple of these drops real quick, make it look a little nicer. But next up we have the skeleton warrior. Actually no, next up we have the skeleton mercenary, which is a skeleton decked out in full iron and chainmail, slightly taller than your average skeleton, more along the height of a wither skeleton, so if you have a doorway, it won't be able to go through. It has the base HP and all the stats of a skeleton, but it, having a helmet, obviously can't burn in sunlight, and will also do more damage thanks to its iron sword. Next up, we have the skeleton warrior, which is a slightly more menacing version of the skeleton mercenary, having diamond gear, having 5 extra HP, and I believe 3 extra damage, along with the diamond sword on top of the other one. Still, overall, it's not very strong. Next up, we have the giant, which, as you can see, does burn in sunlight. If I just set the time real quick, you can see that looks just like your average zombie, but slightly larger. And it has a total of 200 health and does 30 damage per attack. Now, the last one, if I set the time back to standard, the next one will spawn in this dungeon right here, which I can go ahead and load in real quick. This is the Skeleton King. So you can see that he has red eyes like the skeleton warrior. He has a cape and a crown. And some evil sounding sound clips. He can do a normal attack, and he can also do his ground slam attack, which you have seen. And if you are near him while he does this, you'll be knocked back and take around 90 damage. His health pool is massive with 12,500 health, and his standard melee attacks, not his ground slams, do I believe 80 damage. 80 damage, I believe. But I just kill him real quick. You'll see that he very loudly drops the King's Crown, which, when worn, will give you Hero of the Village, Absorption, and Speed 4. So, you can see that I become extremely quick, get those extra hearts, and I guess trade benefits too, thanks to Hero of the Village. Now, next up, if I just take this off real quick, and put that one back on, I suppose. If I head over here to this dungeon, this one will not actually spawn on the ground. This one will spawn in the sky. And I'm actually working on a feature right now to make it spawn with a smaller contraption that'll load it in whenever you get within simulation distance, instead of having to load this entire structure, which, since this is a Bedrock mod and will be mobile device compatible, it would be pretty lame if they couldn't play it because it was just too big to load in multiple times. But in this main room, you can see that there are a number of spawners for skeleton mercenaries and warriors. You can see them spawning in right here. Over on these sides, there are ladders that head up and will lead you to chests with various forms of loot. Going all the way up to the very top of the spires. There's loot in each, with the occasional modded drop, if I can find one. Oh yeah, there was a couple in there, hardened iron ingots, and this dungeon will be one of the best ways to get the large swords like Big Bertha and the Royal Guardian sword. Now you've got this room over here. If you go from the ladder area over here, up here there is a room with some more spawners, some more chests, and a ladder that leads up to another floor, which has more spawners, some chests over here that you will have to break above to open. And then over through here, it's more of the same on this side, with various loot in all the chests. Now, if we head down, there's another door back here, which leads to some zombies in the spawner. Over here, there's another ladder tower, the same as the other 3, with just chests with loot in them. And if I head down, you can see the same thing on the other side. And there's a trapdoor. It's down to a room with some more spawners. And this area is the really greatest area of them. You have 2 chests. Oh, Royal Guardian chestplate, which is a fairly rare drop. 2 chests, and then a barrel. And this barrel is the only place where, oh wow, I actually got it right here. This is the only place in the entire mod where you can get the Big Bertha blade, which combined with a handle can get you Big Bertha. I will at some point go over, once the mod is released, what types of loot you can expect to find in each structure. But for right now, that'll be all. And I'll see you guys next time.